what Lucianos wrote concerning an ancient Greek war on the moon. Lucianos was a Syrian by origin. He was born in Samosata of Komogani. He was an orator and satirical writer who wrote in the Greek language. In 165 AD, settled in Athens, the capital of the spirit of the time. In general, Lucianos hated dogmatism, intransigence, and extreme philosophical controversies, as well as sophisticated language and sophistry. There is a work of his called True History. In it is a paradox similar to Jules Verne's books, although it is a satirical fantasy, as it has been characterized. It makes many references to things and events that can or could have a correspondence with our modern day age and reality, as long as we go beyond intransigence and dogmatism and remain open-minded or activate the imagination. In True History, he deals with a journey to the moon, and he notes, "I confess that I do not say anything true, but it contains astonishing descriptions that some could be described as prophetic." Let's see the most important ones in translation by Yanis Kondilakis and my comments, the writer says. Quote, "After 8 days and so many more nights we flew. On the 8th we saw in the air a land as large as an island, spherical and shining, as if it were desolate. In a strange way, 8 days was the total duration of the Apollo 11 mission from Earth to the moon. To be precise, the Apollo 11 mission was 8 days, 3 hours, 18 minutes, 35 seconds. There they met the king of clothes. He says, we told him our whole story. Then he told us his own story, and that he too was a man named Endymion, meaning clothes, the king Endymion, and he was taken from our own land while he was sleeping. And when he came here, he became king of the land, that is, taken from earth to be made king of the moon. Here he gives us a fact that Endymion was an earthly man and probably a Greek. If you read the testimonies of people who claim to have been abducted by aliens, you will see that many believe that the abduction took place in their sleep, or that they fell asleep until they were transported to the alien ship. Quote, then he explained to us that the earth where we were was on the moon, which we could see from the earth. According to the story, it is to wage a war with Phaethon and Heliotis from the sun. If Endymion is Greek, then it is a war between Greeks and the Heliots that take place on and around the moon. At some point in the war, he describes to us, there are many and large spiders, which are much larger than the Cycladic islands each. They were ordered to weave a web in the air to connect the earth with Eos Porus, meaning the planet Venus. As soon as they made this grid and laid it down, the infantry was deployed on it. My thoughts go straight to what we now call wormholes or stargates or hidden gates in the Earth's magnetic field, as NASA says in a statement. He describes below that the enemies did not consider it good to besiege the city, but the returnees began to build a wall between the sun and the moon air, which prevented the sunlight from reaching the moon. The whole story is reminiscent of modern thinking of doing something similar to avoid the greenhouse effect on Earth. Bill Gates is funding scientists to darken the sun and cool the Earth, an estimated cost of $3 million, an idea that's been widely criticized since it was formulated. Eventually, peace was negotiated between the opponents with the treaty, quote, on an electrified column to be set up in the air on the border of the two territories, end quote. For some reason, although amber is electron, it occurs to me that the condition is written with electricity or with neon lamps hanging or floating in the air. I recognize that this assessment may be a bit far-fetched. He then tells us, in the meantime, during my stay on the moon, I learned various strange and paradoxes which I want to tell. One of them was that when a person does not grow old, he does not die, but dissolves like smoke and becomes air. In our time, there are similar perceptions that say that when man dies, he does not reincarnate, nor does he cease to exist, but that he is united with the universe, or in other words, with the original source, whatever that is for everyone. It also refers to some where their eyes can be removed and readjusted to their position, and whoever wants to remove them and remain blind until he wants to see them again, when he puts them back in their niches and sees, and many who lose their own borrow foreigners to see. And here my mind goes straight to the binoculars, which of us puts them in the eyes, takes them out, lends them. Perhaps the most amazing of all is the following paragraph. Quote, but also what a wonderful thing I saw in the palace. A large mirror is placed in the shaft mouth, which is not very deep, so if one goes down the well, one hears all that is said down here in the earth. There I saw my relatives and my whole homeland, and if they also saw me, I could not be sure. And he who does not believe in the above, if he ever goes in, he will learn there that I am telling the truth. We can say a lot about this description. One, however, could fit most perfectly. Aside from TV matches, artificial satellites, cell phones, communications, etc., what I think would be the closest match is a huge circular screen located in the city of Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, where you can see the streets of Lublin, Poland, and in real time and real size. The same thing happens in Lublin. It's a strange project for the communication of both cities. Of course, people cannot go from one side to the other. The aim is to contribute to the better connection of both cities and their citizens. To this end, exactly 2 identical gates have been installed in the 2 cities and are part of the same project. Somewhere here, let me say, how far ahead of his time was Lucian, in what he claims was fabricated and not true. He says, I confess that I do not say anything true, but it could be prophetic. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Thank you. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.